YouTube Ozzico in the Goat House is back on NFL schedule release day. The NFL has actually confirmed 11 games so far up to this point. A little different than usual. A bunch of games getting leaked. They're probably accurate, but the NFL has confirmed 11 big games. So I took those 11 games, and I'm going to pick the winners here. Way too early pick'ems. This is going to give us in-season pick'ems video vibes here, which I already miss. If you're new to our channel, we pick a bunch of the guys join me, and we pick every game in season. I can't wait for those to start up again. But wanted to pick all 11 of these games that were confirmed by the NFL. We'll be discussing the schedule on Twitter. We'll have a video tomorrow with some thoughts and more off-season NFL content predictions and more. A bunch of videos up on the channel. We fully covered the draft, so check all that out. Join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Link down below for that. Other links that could be useful down there as well. So, yeah, this is, again, kind of like our picks videos. Kind of gives us that vibes. I'm already, can't wait for those to start up my favorite videos to do. But I'm here myself for this video. Picking these 11 games that were announced by the NFL here. First one, Chargers at Chiefs. It'll be Thursday Night Football in Week 2. So it's a big game. If you remember, towards the end of the year, we had that crazy shootout between the Chargers and the Chiefs. The Chiefs won in overtime. The Chargers had some fourth down conversions in that game on multiple games they would like back. So to pick this game at the way too early stage, this is going to be a good one here. The Chiefs are going to be favorites in this game, and probably rightfully so. That kind of makes sense. At this given time, I'm going to go with the away team here. I'm kind of feeling the Chargers in this game in Week 2. I can argue both sides. I do that all year long. I can argue both sides, but just something about the Chargers are really improving this year. Justin Herbert already playing at a elite level and continuing to improve could be scary. Brandon Staley, the head coach, kind of learning from his mistakes. Receivers, improving, not dropping the ball as much. But mainly what I look at, the defense is new and improved. It's a much different defense, and it's going to be, and that's what I look for early in season. I'll talk about throughout this video for the early games. Early season, there's teams that start off hot. People can't really figure out why. Why is there surprises? There's really not much of a game plan early on. There's no film. You don't know what to expect from some teams. Some teams are the same as last year, the same as the year before, and they're pretty predictable. In the Chargers, is a much different defense, and that secondary is loaded now. I think we're going to see them use 5, 6 DBs on the field at once, which some teams are gearing towards, especially when playing the Kansas City Chiefs. It's kind of what beat the Chiefs last year. So kind of going into Week 2, and there's a reason I'll argue the Chiefs here, but going into Week 2, not much of a game plan for that new Chargers defense. Maybe that secondary, not really, don't know much what to expect there. There's not much film at all. I think that might be tricky for the Chiefs, and that was kind of the matchup problem last year. However, the Chiefs might have geared their roster to beat that. We saw the Bengals, what they did in the second half with multiple teams, but the Bengals in the second half, they dropped more in that playoff game. They dropped more guys in coverage, obviously, and that was kind of a problem for the Chiefs. And what they did, what they had before was Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, and those guys kind of get doubled up with a bunch of guys in coverage, and that was kind of game over. Chiefs lose Tyreek Hill, but they have more receivers capable of getting open, so that could kind of work in their favor, even losing Tyreek Hill. So that kind of could be the reason why the Chiefs may have success against what they didn't last year in a kind of a deep secondary. But Week 2, I just got a feeling Week 2 is going to be a little tougher to game plan for the Chargers than game plan for the Chiefs. That it is game plan for the Chiefs, I say. So at this given time, I'm kind of feeling the Chargers, and I think they'll be underdogs in that game, being in Kansas City, Thursday Night Football. I think they get their revenge in that game they probably should have won late season last year. So I'm feeling the Chargers in that one. And then we had two Monday night, a doubleheader Monday night, Week 2. We had the Titans and the Bills, and we'll get to the Vikings and Eagles. And they kind of overlap, which I don't really love, especially because I watch every single game or as much football as I can, and I recap every single game. I want to watch every game that's on TV. That's a little tough, to watch both those games. Like, this game could be coming down to the wire like the Tennessee-Buffalo game last year, and I'm, flipping on the other game. So I don't really love that. But at the same time, you kind of get excited about it because you got two great games in Week 2 Monday Night Football. I mean, just more action. You got to love it. So Tennessee Buffaloes kind of feels like if we're basing off, last year, the year before, kind of a heavyweight AFC matchup, and I think it'll be that in week 2. The Titans have had the Bills' number. Last 2 years. Last year, the Bills were very, very close to winning that game, pulling it off. The Titans pulled it off in the end. That was an epic game. And then 2 years ago was the Rona game. That was a Tuesday night game, and the Titans handled Josh Allen. They kind of gave him disguised coverages, and they kind of gave them problems. So can the Bills figure it out this year? Again, I think this would be a big-time matchup. And for some reason, the Bills have, I don't want to say struggled, but the last couple of years, that's kind of the team they can't really get over. They're able to beat pretty much every other team. Can they beat the Titans? I'm feeling this year they do so. The Titans are kind of that same team, which is okay because it's a very good team, and they'll be very solid again. But then the Bills are kind of more prepared for this, and they also have added a little bit more to their team as well, more than a little bit more when you talk about Von Miller, but even a guy like James Cook in the second round of the draft. That's a big-time factor. And the Bills, young Josh Allen, young pieces everywhere, they're actually getting better. With the Titans, I'd say they're probably staying around the same, which is a very good team. But I'll take the Bills in week 2. In this one, they finally get the Titans, but it's going to be a fun game there. Monday Night Football in week 2. That's the earlier game for the doubleheader for Monday Night Football. Another great one here, Vikings-Eagles. I like that it's in Philadelphia. That makes this a much, much better game here because the Philadelphia Eagles seem like they're getting better a lot on Hurts, but the Vikings are one of those teams, like I talked about with that first matchup. There's always teams that start off real hot. People may be a little surprised, and they kind of predict them to do well. The rest of the year doesn't really happen, and people always end up confused on why certain teams start hot. It's really about the game plan, the lack of film, lack of being prepared. I think the Vikings are going to be one of those teams that's going to be very tough early in the season because we are so used to this. Happens every year for several teams, and again, people are always like, what, like, didn't expect that team to do that. It should be common sense, but the Vikings, they've been the same old Vikings for so long. They had the same coaching staff, they're the same run first team, heavy run offense. The defense was very good for a long time, but it started to get predictable under Zimmer, and now we got this whole new Vikings team under Kevin O'Connell. We'll see him more of a passing attack, more 11 personnel, which we saw not much of in the old Vikings. So this team might be very tough to game plan for because you don't know what to expect. You're kind of used to game plan for the old Vikings, and they have talent, everywhere. The Eagles adding talent. Could Hurts take that step up? Could A.J. Brown help this team? Absolutely. And the defense really improved the year went on last year. It seems like a pretty solid defense. So it would have been interesting if it was Zimmer versus, a Gannon defense because Gannon was under Zimmer. They run a similar defense, but you have new staff of the Vikings. So if this was in Minnesota, I would definitely say the Vikings because they have that matchup factor for them that they're very hard to game plan for early on, and they're home. But they got Monday Night Football. They're still going to be very tough to play against early on, in my opinion. But it's in Philadelphia. Will the Vikings fans travel well? Because their past experiences in Philadelphia, that's interesting as well. I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm kind of going to go with my gut, and what I already kind of figured is the Vikings very early on will be very tough to game plan for. I think they can have success through the air against the Eagles, which they seem to do when they play them. Kirk Cousins have had some success, but I think they'll have some good success through the air in this game, and just a tough game plan really on both sides of the ball because they're completely changing their defense as well. 3-4, they're going to have guys aligned to different looks, guys like Zadarius Smith. The Vikings have that elite pass rush duo of Hunter and Smith. Question is, will they be healthy? Confident about them being healthy in week 2. This being in Philadelphia makes it so it can go either way. Again, I like the Vikings as one of those early season good teams before teams can start to figure them out because it's kind of fresh, new type of team here. Moving on to the next game, we got the Vikings in back-to-back games here. Week 4 in London, Vikings-Saints. And again, I have that theory that the Vikings could be one of several teams that'll be extra tough early on. Just a prediction, but I have a theory, obviously. But, maybe there's a point where, they get to where teams can start the game plan for them, maybe around week 4, 5, 6, something like that. Doesn't mean they're going to go undefeated through 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I think they'll have a positive record. Saints were beat up last year. They're healthy. I think they'll be healthy at this point. They've also added some good starters throughout this offseason, especially in the draft, 2 first-round picks. This would be a good game. I think these two teams are kind of in that same range. Like, they feel like playoff teams. They might be able actually to do a little bit more damage if they're healthy, because there's some injury concern here and there for these teams. Traveling to London, though, and the Vikings got a new staff, obviously, which could work in their favor. But in a game like this, it feels like a new team traveling to London. I know the Saints don't have Sean Payton, but still got that kind of that same staff, that same, even the front office, they know how to prepare. Obviously, I'm feeling the Saints in this one. It should be a really good game. I think just going over to London, just feeling the Saints, maybe a little bit more prepared for this game. That's just kind of my gut feeling on that one. And I would have looked like an ass if I picked my team to win in back-to-back games. They're going to win one of those games. They're going to win one. So we'll see. We'll take the Saints in that one. Again, maybe it's just a little bit more prepared. Again, the Saints are dangerous when they're healthy, and they were not healthy last year. Still almost made the playoffs. I guess it's on, even if they're healthy, I guess it's still, it's not a guarantee that they'll be good. Can Jameis take care of the ball? Was looking pretty solid before getting injured last year. Michael Thomas, I expect him to be on the field here. So we'll take the Saints. This one was announced today, actually, this morning, Week 4 Sunday Night Football. We got Chiefs and we got Bucks. And that's going to be a good one. I didn't determine these picks before I started recording, so I'm going with you guys right here, rolling live as I'm recording. So Chiefs and Bucks in Tampa Bay. I already picked against the Chiefs. Do I want to pick against the Chiefs again? This is going to be an epic shootout. I really feel like that. I feel like the Chiefs could have made their defense better, the first round of the draft, adding some of those pieces, and they lost Tyrann Mathieu. The Bucks gave him problems in that Super Bowl. Chiefs might be tougher on defense, because I think they're going to give some different looks. I think, my opinion here. They were kind of a man coverage, cover 2, blitz team. I think we're going to see a little bit more zone coverage here. Maybe why they, moved on for some pieces, add some pieces. I think Trent McDuffie's the big one, where he's kind of why he was a good prospect, good with the different mixture of coverages here. I do think Brady can dice up this offense. I think, I think the key to beating the Chiefs is kind of dropping more guys in coverage, less blitzing. It's not really the Bucks. It's not really the Bucks defense, even though the defense can be very solid at any given time. Matchup reasons, it's going to be an epic shootout. Matchup reasons, I'm actually going to go with the Chiefs away here. That's a 50-50 one, though. Just like the Chiefs-Chargers kind of felt like 50-50. We're at the way too early stage. I thought it would be very fun to pick these games, so I'm going to go with the Chiefs for the reasons I explained. Week 5, we have a London game. We got the Giants at the Packers. Giants, I love the direction they're heading. I like the coaching staff they brought in for sure. It seems, they had the first round of the draft where they won. They got 2 big-time starters, day 1 starters, impact players, great fits. So they're heading in the right direction. Quarterback's still a little bit of a question. Very solid defense. They have some weapons, just about staying healthy. It's going over to London, playing just the better team in general, the more experienced team and staff going to London. That's kind of the key here. But going against Aaron Rodgers, they'll be prepared. They're the better team right now. Better team doesn't always win. I think people always pick the better team to win, doesn't they? Kind of get surprised when they don't win. It's just not how it works. But it's tough to not pick the Packers in the game like this. So we will take the Green Bay Packers here in London against the Giants. I like the direction the Giants are heading, though. London Week 8, Jaguars at Broncos. I picked the Jaguars to upset the Dolphins, somewhat upset the Dolphins in London last year. That worked out for me, and I think the Jaguars will take a big step up this year under Doug Peterson. Trevor Lawrence takes a big step up. Offensive line can improve. The weapons improve. ETN comes back. The defense got a lot of young studs. I think they'll stop the run at a high level. They got some unique players that they added. Trayvon Walker, Devin Lloyd. They can change up their looks, disguises. The Jaguars could be tougher than people think. But again, kind of just going for better team, who's more experienced, who will be more prepared for going over London, which is tough, very tough on the players and the staff in general. I'll take the Broncos. Russell Wilson. It's a new staff there as well, but I'll take Russell Wilson, the veteran players the Broncos have to execute in this game. But the Jaguars seem to be kind of like a home team in London. So that's interesting. And they could, like I said, they could be a sneaky, sneaky team. So this actually, if I had to predict a score on this right now, I'm not going to say a score. I'm not going to come up with a random score on top of my head, but I would predict this game to be very close, actually. But I'm going to take the Broncos for the several reasons I explained. It just makes more sense. Next up, Germany. That's going to be fun. Week 10, maybe not for some of the players, and a lot of the players don't like traveling that far, but that's going to be interesting. Week 10, Seattle versus Tampa. I mean, yeah, Tampa Bay is just a much better team here. This is one I'm pretty confident with. We'll take Brady. We'll take the experience, the better team. Seattle, will it be Drew Lock at this point? Will it be Geno Smith? Are they still gonna, do we not know who the quarterback on the, maybe he's not on the roster right now. Maybe Seattle will be improving at this point because they have a lot of young players that are solid and that can continue to improve. So that's a reason to argue the Seahawks. Why I think the Seahawks could be sneaky is because I think they can have a dominant run game with the collection of running backs they have. That's going to be a lot of fun. The Buccaneers are just, year in, year out, they're just elite stopping the run. So the Seahawks will kind of, most likely, it's week 10, so it can't really say right now. Most likely we'll have to find other ways that they're not really used to win. It's a very tough matchup. I can say that with pretty good confidence, even though we are a long way from the week 10 game in Germany. So I'd definitely go with the Buccaneers in that one. Cowboys and Packers, week 10. It's a Sunday game, the late window on Sunday. So this was an interesting one that was announced already. The Packers have dominated the series. I saw that. Somebody tweeted that out. Dominated the series over the last 10 or so games. Maybe the Cowboys should have won that one with the Des Bryant situation. This should be a pretty good game. Should be a pretty good game in this one. It's going to be on. It's probably, there's probably going to be some scoring in this game, obviously, with the high-powered offenses, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers. But it's going to be on the defenses. It's definitely going to be on the defense in a game like this. And it's kind of weird talking about specific matchups when it's a Week 10 game. But just, having fun here, kind of thinking if this game were today. But it's going to be on the defenses because the there's random teams that kind of get pressure on the Packers, and it really slows down their offense. And the Cowboys were very good at getting pressure last year, especially in unique ways with Micah Parsons. But no Randy Gregory. The pass rush is not looking the same, but it still could be equally as effective. So will they be able to disrupt Aaron Rodgers? And I look at the Packers defense. That defense is actually going to be really good. They had 2 studs in the first round. The defense was already getting better. They're getting, Jair Alexander back full-time, hopefully. He should be healthy at this point, you would think. It's tough to predict that. But I can't really find any holes on the Packers defense. It's going to be a really, really good defense. So you think high-powered offense, Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, maybe a shootout. I'd say there'd be some scoring, but not a shootout. It's going to be which defense makes that extra play. Cowboys could have taken a step down with that defense, perhaps, going from last year to this year. Packers take that step up. That could be the difference in a game like this. We will take the Green Bay Packers, and they were twice in this video going 2-0. So we're gonna go with the Packers. But the Cowboys I'm interested to see because they feel different, what they did this offseason. So we'll see. Cardinals and 49ers in Mexico, Week 11. This might be the toughest one to predict. Who's going to be more prepared for Mexico? Last time we saw a Mexico game, what was the field of disaster? I'm guessing they'll be more prepared this time, but who the hell knows? Who the hell knows who the 49ers quarterback will be to start the year and by Week 11. They currently still have Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not hearing great things about Trey Lance, but I always hear that about quarterbacks at this point. I think we heard about Joe Burrow. I know he's coming off injury last year, so I'm not taking that too serious, but it wouldn't surprise me if Lance maybe struggled a little bit still. I'd like to think Lance has got to be the starter by Week 11 or even to start the year. The Cardinals are weird because they usually start the year strong because they're tough to game plan for, tough to deal with before teams are in shape, and they start to kind of go downhill at this point of the year, and it's kind of tough to predict them to do otherwise, even though I think they'll snap out at some point. But they won't have Hopkins early year. They'll have Hopkins at this point, so they start to get better. In Mexico, what will the conditions be with the fields? I know where I'm going with this one. I'm gonna go with the Niners in this one. Maybe trust them to be a little bit more prepared going to Mexico, but mainly I'm thinking their rushing attack on this game will be, I think the Cardinals will struggle to stop the run. 49ers, we know how good they are, effective they are, wear teams out, pounding the football, added another running back in the draft. That's a very physical one, who I was a fan of out of LSU. And, what if the field's got some sloppy conditions? Maybe the team that's more effective running the ball. Murray trying to scramble. So I'll take the Niners. We'll think Trey Lance playing this game, maybe just too much him running the ball for Cardinals to handle. So we'll see. That's a kind of a 50-50 one. It is 60-41 at this point. This is the last one. We got a Christmas game. So it's weird because Christmas on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. So a bunch of Saturday Christmas Eve games, and I think 3, but 1 confirmed by the NFL right here on Christmas. So that actually should be fun. It's interesting. It's definitely interesting. So that's Week 16, Broncos at Rams, and that's going to be a great game. That's going to be a great game if everyone's healthy. Hopefully they are. I'd expect it. You like to predict that. But, yeah, the defending Super Bowl champions, the Rams, they trade for Matthew Stafford, and just like that, they won a Super Bowl, and they're a great team. They're once again a Super Bowl candidate. And the Broncos, they made that big trade for Russell Wilson, so could they be, and they got a pretty good roster, could they be this year's Rams? It's very, very possible. I like to think the Broncos have more of a complete roster than the Rams. I think the Rams have more star power, though. More kind of elite units, elite takeover players, perhaps, even though they're both very talented. Broncos going to be fun because they're going to be equally effective on the ground and through the air, which can make teams tough to stop. But the Rams are the same thing as well. No Von Miller for either of these teams, the Von Miller teams here on Christmas. Yeah, I'm going to go with the big-time game, Christmas, The whole world's watching. I think the Rams having more of that star power, Aaron Donald kind of guy that stands out, kind of showing up in the spotlight. Being at home on Christmas, that crowd will probably really help them as well. Great game, one I cannot wait for, that we're a long ways away. I'm going to go with the Rams for those reasons that I explained. So there you have it. Is that all the games? That's all the games here. 11 games, a bunch of games being leaked, but 11 games leaked and confirmed by the NFL. So I didn't want to get myself in trouble. Not that I thought that would happen, but just want to talk about these games. I thought that was pretty fun, just to pick the game's thoughts right now on kind of my teams and matchups at the way too early stage. And we do picks with other members of the Goat House on every game. These games, again, of course. So I cannot wait for that. If you're new to the Goat House, you really enjoy those. So join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Follow us on Twitter. A lot of talk on there. NFL schedule release. Really excited about that. It's going to do it, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.